w.armups, no problem life on tiny Grayvilles high school basketball team. Grayville, ill, the underdog story is one of the most played out narratives in sports. It's romantic seeing someone defy the odds and achieve greatness, but what about those who don't? What about those who do their best and exceed expectations despite seemingly coming up short year after year? The small town of Grayville, Illinois, saw its population dip again in 2016 to an estimated 1,623 people, about 500 fewer than a generation ago. There's one stoplight within city limits, which comprises a little more than 2 square miles. Southern Illinois is rich in basketball tradition with names like Jerry Sloan and Marty Simmons still relevant in the basketball world, so players have the same passion as their peers crazed by Hoosier Hysteria on the other side of the Wabash River. There are 85 high school students at Grayville, yet there are junior varsity and varsity basketball teams. 16 Bison came out this season, so roughly half the total boys in the school. It's a small town, said Coach Brian Hucker, who is in his 15th year as a coach at Grayville. So they want to stay active and like the game and come out to compete. He spent 11 years coaching junior high and is in his 4th season with the high school team, meaning he's been with the seniors since they were in 6th grade. Usually, about 15-20 players join the team, but some seasons there are as few as 9. Grayville only plays one school smaller than itself during the regular season. It's essentially always outnumbered, outsized, out everything. You're always playing with a chip on your shoulder and proving people wrong, said freshman Braden Hatcher, the team's leading scorer. Hatcher's brother Wyatt was a senior last year, so he's familiar with the obstacles the team constantly faces because talent comes and goes in waves. Every 10 years or so, a large, talented class comes along. Last year, there were 7 seniors, including Case Robinson and the elder Hatcher, who each scored 1,000 career points. They led Grayville to back-to-back regional championship games. Robinson finished as the school's 2nd all-time leading scorer and is now playing at Oakland City University. Now, the team is young, and its inexperience has resulted in just 2 wins over the course of 2 months. Most people already don't have much faith in us, sophomore Cole Neely said. We have nothing to worry about. They already think we're going to lose. It means more to be a senior considering there's such a disparity in talent and freshmen outnumber them. Lincoln Armstrong and Marcus Risley are the only ones this year and have taken it upon themselves to help Hucker. They want to guide the Bison toward the same success they experienced the past couple years. Perhaps the team would be better if even more boys played. The players, among others, have differing opinions. One said certain kids don't play because they would be embarrassed to be on a losing team. So, instead of becoming a winner, they don't try at all. Another claims essentially all the athletes are already on the team. If others joined, the talent level wouldn't rise. You try your best to get as many kids to come out as you can, but you can't force them to play, Athletic Director Luke Simmons said. Grayville works with what it has. There aren't many other options. We take our lumps, but we're always looking for improvement, Hucker said. There's a driveway connecting Wells Elementary School to the Grayville Junior, Senior High School building next door to make it easier for the bus driver picking up and dropping off students. Except they can only ride the bus to and from school, not for any extracurriculars. As a cost-cutting measure, the school district eliminated busing before the start of the 2014-15 academic year. Illinois is broke, and schools are hurting because of it. The state has more than 850 school districts, some so tiny and choking on overhead costs that they cheat students of opportunities common in bigger districts. About 60% of the districts in Illinois were deficit spending in 2016. Simmons made a special request to bus the team to last year's regional championship game, given the significance of the occasion. The school board wouldn't allow it. Even for one night, the cost of fuel and paying a driver was deemed too high. It's inconvenient, but the adjustment has been easier than I thought it would be, Hucker said. Before the season, every player signs a waiver to ride with a parent, teammate or coach to games. The school does own a 10-passenger van, a minivan and a Chevrolet Suburban for coaches to use. A lot of the younger guys have to bum rides, so it can be chaotic, Armstrong said. I'd rather have a bus so we can all be together for team bonding. Hooker has a roster sheet for players to write down how they plan on getting to each game. Many of them will carpool with someone's mom or dad. If they have no other way, he will drive them. For the most part, our parents do a pretty good job supporting the teams and getting all the kids there, Simmons said. Travel is only one of the ways finances impact the team. The Bison rely on fundraising for things like uniforms, which are now 4 years old, and going to summer basketball camps. The team doesn't even have warm-ups. Luckily, the community supports the boys. There was a referendum to increase property taxes in Grayville a few years ago that could have closed the school, and no one wanted to see that. Citizens agreed to pay more to keep the building open. It's a good, little town, Simmons said. Sydney Foster's life could easily be a Hollywood movie in itself because there's no girls' basketball team at Grayville. She plays with and against junior varsity boys and more than holds her own. Boys, they get stronger faster, and they're taller than girls, so I have to work harder, said Foster, a sophomore. Grayville used to be part of a co-op with Edwards County for football and girls basketball, so Foster got to play with other girls in 8th grade and as a freshman. It's her favorite sport even though she also plays volleyball. Edwards County stopped the partnership this school year. It was taking on Grayville's enrollment, which bumped the football team up a class and hurt its chances of winning in the postseason. They got into some cost-sharing measures and threw some pretty ridiculous numbers for each girl who wants to play basketball, and our school board didn't approve it, Simmons said. Foster said she would have cost the district about $600 alone if she played this season. So, she signed up for the Grayville cheerleading team, which is the only sport for girls during the winter. Cheerleading wasn't for her. Not only was she not catching on to the chants, she didn't enjoy it. She wished she was playing basketball instead and joined the team a few weeks into the season. Girls have the option of playing volleyball and softball. Boys have basketball and baseball. Both can do cheerleading if they want. The basketball team makes her feel welcome. And she motivates them in return. I feel like I'm going to push them to work hard because, how are they going to feel if a girl starts over boys? She said. 10 junior high banners cover the walls of the school gym. There's no sign of any sort of high school athletic achievement. In middle school athletics, everyone is on the same playing field because all roughly are the same size. But most cities have multiple schools that feed into the high school. Grayville doesn't. It doesn't even have 2 different buildings. That ultimately affects the high school teams. I think we could be good if people who played in junior high also played in high school, but it seems like whenever they get here, they're too good to play sports, Foster said. As is the case in nearly every community, people are more likely to support a winner. But they still mostly fill the gym with a capacity of 700 on game days and get loud when Grayville scores, even during a recent 86-32 loss to Woodlawn. The cheerleaders demand fans' attention. Some come just for them. It seems as if everyone knows everyone in the stands, so people bounce from section to section exchanging pleasantries. Only the varsity starters sit in street clothes during the junior varsity game. There are no benches, either. The first row of the bleachers serves as those for each team. We're still learning the gravity of a high school basketball game, Hooker said. Last year, it seemed like game days were a little more electric, but we're still catching on as a young team. Hooker is originally from nearby Fairfield, Illinois, and landed his first teaching job at Edwards County via a state grant. An elementary school principal there left to become Grayville's principal the next year before offering Hooker an open social studies position. I really enjoy being here. I've had opportunities to leave, but I've liked it here, Hooker said. The people have been really good to me and at this point in my career, this is where I've been and where I'd like to stay. There's no universal benchmark to gauge each season. Usually, if the team is playing better at the end than the start, it's a success. In the case of the last few years when the Bison have been talented, it's based on how far the team advances in the postseason. Hooker is a good coach, a really good coach, Risley, a senior, said. And he's a coach who is always up for a challenge. His players admire his patience even when times seem the worst. Perhaps someday the underdog story comes true, and the basketball team hoists a state championship trophy and hangs its first banner. But it's okay if that doesn't happen either. The relationships we make here, there are a lot of good people here in Grayville, and for the most part, they're lasting relationships with all the parents and kids even after they come through here, Hooker said.